Hey, thanks for tuning in for another round of Art Time with Jake. This week I'm experimenting with melting wax crayons, a technique I've never tried. So I watched several tutorials on YouTube to get acclimated with the medium before starting. In the end, I'm satisfied with my attempt. I've loved the texture, smell, and color of this finished piece here. The support I'm using is an inch-thick piece of MDF, which is a smooth, rigid surface that can take some heat. My first idea references the horizon, which is a theme I've explored often in my work. I like how it's the divide between two forces, like earth and sky, or the infinite and the finite. In the videos I watched, they recommended using hot glue to attach crayons temporarily before you melt them. The hot glue can even be removed later by applying heat and scraping them away with a razor. I'm using a heat gun, aka paint stripper, for this project. It has 2 speeds. I found the low setting was perfect, while the high setting blew the wax around uncontrollably. The heat gun gets hot, so always be mindful of where it's directed or laying. You'll see I'm wearing a glove on the end near the heat. Eventually, I figured out how to use a bar clamp as a handle to move the board around. I put parchment paper down to catch the drips, and as you can see, the cool drips pop up easily and can be reapplied later. This is a great glimpse into the creative process and the evolution of a concept as it gets tested. I started this piece with the horizon line idea, mainly to have some sort of direction to guide me. I feel there could have been several stopping points along the way where the composition was satisfactory enough. But I wanted to see what else the media could do and didn't want to settle yet. It's interesting to see how the medium layers. A warm flowing layer might merge below as it passes over, depending on the temperature of the layer beneath, or it might stay stratified into separate layers. Add some heat and the two will merge, with the heavier pigments sinking and the lighter ones rising to the top. I noticed in other videos on YouTube there was not a lot of color mixing, so I wanted to push that aspect in my experiment. I saw yellow as the unifier between the colors I chose, which are yellow-green and yellow-orange. So I started with a base of yellow color before adding the yellow-green and the yellow-orange. The air movement and heat of the heat gun allows the different crayon colors to flow together. Like most of my work, I feel this experiment references nature on a variety of scales. The white crayon was stacked like a mountain and eventually gets disintegrated by a stream of wind and heat, similar to the erosion inflicted upon the land through the seasons. The wax landslides into the valley or becomes liquid like a stream of water. My desired finished product changed as I worked on this piece. Ultimately, I felt the hot glue was too present, so I removed all traces of it. Eventually, I discovered my original concept with the white horizon was not going to fit the bill, so I adapted. Much of this was gut feeling. The experience of exploring this medium was more important than creating a masterpiece. In the beginning, I liked how the white crayon was like a ridge or landmass to be eroded, but I discovered the look I wanted was more at surface level. So I scraped up the leftover, cooled off drips from the parchment paper and stacked them into mounds on the support. My new idea was that the low places would become a valley for a river. The melted wax temporarily becomes liquid and flows like water, and then maintains this look as it hardens. While the surface is hot, I applied the heat gun to the tip of the blue crayon, allowing it and the molten surface to readily coalesce while I draw across it. Because they are roughly the same temperature, the blue crayon and the surface mix together nicely. To finish the piece, I heat the entire surface to fuse all the layers together and smooth out irregularities to make a more unified surface. I hope you've enjoyed watching my process and seeing how one can adapt an idea. With art, as with life, it's best not to be rigid, but rather go with the flow. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.